Welcome to episode 2 of Draft Punks. I'm Monty, and this is my co-host Ryan.
Hello, how's it going?
Today, we got a few subjects we're going to go through, and we're going to start getting right into it, and we're going to fix the Cleveland Browns.
Got a request from Tenorio. He was disappointed we didn't fix him last time.
Yep, our producer,
okay.
Tenorio. It's a difficult task, we know. Nobody can get it
easy.
done.
They've been trying it for what,
But
26 years now?
I don't know. But I think Ryan and I have what it takes to get it done.
I think we do too. Let's fucking go.
So let's get into it. And we decided our first move to fix the Browns is go out there and spend that big salary cap that we have available to us and go get Kirk Cousins and get us a franchise quarterback.
For real, man. And it makes sense too, as you said in the last podcast. Kirk Cousins of the Cleveland Browns.
And I mean,
it's not a bad fit. Not like we're reaching too far.
Yeah, I mean, we just have been having trouble to drafting one and getting them to work out here. So let's go get an established guy in Kirk Cousins who's proven to be a good NFL quarterback. And we're going to convince him. We're going to talk to him, tell him we have these 5 picks in the first 2 rounds. We have all this room to get pieces around him. We have a franchise left tackle for him.
Yep.
Josh.
I'll be here for at least 3 years.
Yeah. So, I think we go out there, we offer Kirk Cousins really whatever it takes to get it done. But I'm thinking around $30 million a season and bring him in.
I would say 30, 31 or 32.
Hell, if it takes 35, I'll do it to get him into this building.
Into your house. Yeah.
Get him into the house.
Yeah, I think so too. And I think also it just solidifies a position that now we don't have to worry about drafting. We can focus on literally best player available. I think that's just like the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Spend the money so we don't have to go elsewhere.
Exactly. And I mean, now that we have a guy, we can go out and get whoever we want in the draft. We don't have to worry about taking Rosen, him not wanting to play here, or taking Darnold and him not working out. We can go ahead and just get our quarterback and draft some of the best players available at the top of the board when we get into the draft.
Yeah, for shizzle. I just think, it leads way to our first round pick, and we talked about who we wanted to draft. So I think we should, it's a good time to get into who we wanted to draft.
Yeah, let's talk about our first round picks a little bit before we jump into free agency because we have some plans here. We are planning to get the best player in the draft, first overall, something that hasn't happened in a long time, and taking a running back with the first pick. We're going to take Saquon Barkley.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason not to look at running backs getting taken right now in first rounds, and just in any round really. The rookie running backs are so utilized in today's NFL. Why not just take with the first pick if we already have a quarterback? We don't need to do anything else. We don't have to waste anyone's time and take fucking Sam Darnold or Josh Allen, fucking Walter Football. Are you kidding me?
Saquon Barkley is a game changer, man. He's the kind of guy who could take a crappy team to the playoffs. I mean, he's going to help you in pass protection. He's going to help you as a receiving back. He's going to help you, obviously, as a runner. He's going to help you as a kick returner if you'd want him to. He is everything you want from team. He's just going to make your team better. And that's something I want to sell Kirk Cousins on. I want to be, Kirk, we're getting you a freak of a running back that is going to make this team better.
Yeah, we're going to get you the first fucking running back we can, man.
Like
that's important. That's a good selling point too, especially with that O-line that the Browns already have. The O-line for the Browns is not that bad.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of good running backs in this draft, but none of them are Saquon.
There's always that one game changer. Like that was kind of the thing last year. It was like, well, there's no really other Fournettes or there's no other this, and it turned out that Kareem Hunt was the guy to take. But
I mean, last year had a lot of good running backs, but like this year, I mean. Darius Geis is good. Sony Michel's good, but nobody's even being spoken in the same conversation as Saquon Barkley.
No, and nor should they.
No
one deserves the merit that he received. No.
So I think that he will be somebody who can make this team much better. He's just one of the best prospects I've seen come out in a long time at everything he does. So let's go on and let's go to the next position on offense, where we're going to probably try to address it through free agency. at wide receiver.
Yeah, at wide receiver, I mean, let's just face it. This draft is not amazing for wide receivers. We're not going to
Yeah,
waste any easy time, especially when we want to gobble up offensive line or defensive line earlier on. Let's not waste our time with wide receivers. Let's sign. There's a pretty decent receiver class out there. Let's go sign some dudes.
yeah. I mean, this is a good free agency class in the draft. I mean, there's some good wide receiver twos. There's some good athletic guys who we can take later who might work out, but
Yeah,
there's nobody I love as just a freak player who can take over for you. So we're not going to worry about that. And we're going to see if we can find somebody in free agency. The thing is, everybody wants these guys. So as the Cleveland Browns, we got to convince them to come to us.
and that's another thing about signing Kirk Cousins, a receiver. He sees that. Oh, so you have a solidified good quarterback. Yeah, I can do that. I can go to the Browns.
It's going to change things, man.
It's a game changer, especially if you have a running back too. You just have to think. Look at teams that don't have a running game. Can you think of one team that could use a running game? And that'd be really good. They have a good passing game.
What was it?
I was just saying, think about having a running game. And the Saquon Barkley thing is a sell too. If you make it noted that you're gonna draft Saquon Barkley, I think receivers would be like, okay, well, this running game's solidified too. Like, that's definitely a piece. So
Yeah,
go ahead.
for sure. But anyway, I mean, we have to get that signing for us, and I think that we go out there, we make inquiries to all the top three guys. I mean, there's definitely a top of the pack tier in Jarvis Landry and Allen Robinson, Sammy Watkins. I don't know who's going to actually be available from the team,
Yeah,
but we were talking about this earlier before the show. I think the Browns should go hard at Sammy Watkins.
yeah, I think it's a good pick. I mean, you saw that he did well in the Rams offense. You know, they're going to change things up. Let's go ahead and get him. He's a good receiver, and you're not wasting too much in signing him.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he was necessarily did what people hoped that he would do in LA with how well that offense did, which is why I think the Rams might cut loose with him, though. And he is still an amazing talent. He has shown such big flashes at time that he could be one of the best receivers in the NFL. And let's go get him. We have the money to take a chance. He's 24 years old. He's a good player. He managed to stay healthy for once, which is really important. So I'm going to go out there, offer Sammy Watkins a good chunk of change to come to Cleveland and see if we can make it happen.
To be that number one, and just a little caveat on that. I mean, he did have 8 touchdowns in an offense that was spread around as fuck. Everyone got the ball in that offense. Like, they really spread people around. So it's not.
He really came on at the end.
If you look at his yards, he had about 595 yards. That's not impressive. Like, you look at that, that's not great. But like, everyone in that offense touched the ball, so they really spread around. And he scored 8 times. That's impressive.
Yeah, and the thing is about Sammy, he got traded there at the end of preseason. He never had a chance to build chemistry at that team. He never had a chance. He had never had a chance to learn the system. He had to come on there, step in, and expected to be a good player. And
if he was, in all his rights.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't what they wanted him to be, but he was good. I think with a full offseason with Cleveland or any other team, I think he could really develop into the star that he has been touted to be for so long.
Yeah, and and just not even, we're not signing him to be Calvin Johnson, Randy Moss. We just want a solidified wide receiver position, and I think he would bring that, especially he has that potential, and he just showed a season where he's fully healthy. This is the time to sign him right now.
Yeah,
get your hands on Sammy Watkins while you still can.
You can get him a little bit cheaper right now. And matching up with Josh Gordon, I mean, first of all, Josh Gordon's a great player we can have, but he's had a lot of issues, and you don't want to rely on him definitely being your guy. But, I mean, if he is that guy, doesn't mean you don't want Sammy. Sammy and him together could be crazy, but you need somebody, and you got to throw your darts, and you got to hope that you can get your big receiver.
I mean, you just can't rely on Josh Gordon anymore. There were so many times where it was like, okay, well, he'll be here. Oh, he tested positive. And like, where do you stand on weed? It's like he kept messing up.
Yeah.
Every time.
It seems like he's finally getting it together, but I mean, we'll just have to see. It's a wait and see game. I hope he does figure it out, but we don't know. No. And then Ryan, I also were talking about possibly if we somehow strike out on all these guys, it's not the plan here, but another guy who could bring a spark to this offense for Kirk Cousins would be a guy like Taylor Gabriel.
Fuck yeah, man. And especially too because he has kind of a repertoire with the Browns as they did sign him as an undrafted free agent. And he was a kick returner. And he did reasonably well, but then he went to the Falcons and he exploded under that Shanahan offense. And he's still did really well in his own right. He's a very good role player to have. We can utilize
Mhm.
him in our offense, especially with Saquon Barkley. It's kind of like, I mean, I could just imagine the plays we could run having Kirk Cousins, Taylor Gabriel. I mean, that I would love to get Taylor Gabriel if we could because he's such a little Swiss Army knife. It would be perfect for that kind of offense.
Yeah, and I mean, you don't have to spend the money that you're spending on these top guys. I mean, I
No,
don't think we can necessarily afford to get both of them, but if we strike out, Taylor Gabriel is a good piece who we can rely on in an offense. Like you said, we took him as an undrafted free agent. That means he chose to be at the Browns. He could have gone to a lot of teams. He chose to go
yeah,
to the Cleveland Browns.
yeah.
We're
And
gonna
you
make
you
him
can,
choose again.
and I think you can. Like, I think you easily can. Once you get the word out, we just signed Kirk Cousins. We just brought this homie in. We're taking Saquon Barkley with our first pick. I think that's like the receivers like, okay, let's fucking go, man. Let's get this team rolling. And
Yeah, and I mean,
I think Taylor Gabriel was that'd be explosive, man. That would be. I would love to have Taylor Gabriel. I am a huge Taylor Gabriel fan. Um, just seeing what he can do, how he can attack offenses, and he's got good hands too. It's not like he's just this like fast guy that you just dish the ball off to. He's got good hands.
yeah, I mean, a lot of people might not be super high on him because he's not that like that fantasy football type player. But I mean, he helps
He doesn't.
offenses in. He helps.
He doesn't have the eye popping stats, but you can't leave him alone. Like
No,
you can't fucking let him burn you.
he helps offenses. He brings something to that team. You know that Kirk Cousins likes having that speed receiver on his team.
He always
Uh,
has.
yeah, he
It's a
says
comfort zone
Deshaun
for him.
Jackson, Crowder.
Mhm.
Like he's done well with those guys. So I mean, bringing a Taylor Gabriel in, hey, that's a hell of a compensation prize if we can't get one of these top three guys.
Absolutely, and then just too, we can build our receiver core, and then this is also Josh Gordon. Hopefully, he's still on the team. We're anticipating him being on the team. You know, Taylor Gabriel, I think would be an amazing addition, regardless of what happens receiver wise. Like we should try to get him regardless, but he's also a good fallback plan if we don't get any of them. Because it's
And
a very good
then
possibility they don't. Sammy Watkins can be like, well, I'm not going to go to the fucking Browns. Why did I do
yeah,
that?
he's in LA. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I'm not necessarily expecting a lot. I do think we got to go check Kirk Cousins. He's from Michigan. It's a general area. We've talked about all this already. We don't need to go
Yeah.
back into
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
But the wide receivers are going to be tough to bring in. And Gabriel, I think, is somebody to convince. And then another guy we brought up earlier to each other was Terrell Pryor. I mean, he had
Yeah.
such a bad year in Washington.
Historically bad. That was terrible.
But
That was fucking awful.
I mean, history's shown that the only time Terrell Pryor succeeded was with Hugh Jackson. I mean,
Yeah.
Oakland as a quarterback, or he got a shot in Cleveland with when he got shot in Cincinnati when he was there. He always ends up with Hugh Jackson. Hugh Jackson loves the guy, and I think that he'll bring him back in. I mean, he already has a little bit of repertoire with Kirk Cousins. I know it didn't work out so well, but maybe Hugh Jackson this time around can make it work with Kirk Cousins and give him that target that they're hoping to have in Washington. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to work, but I mean, if we can get him at a vet in, which I think is very realistic after his injury and this offseason, I think he is a good grab for Cleveland.
I think so too, and especially when, like, let's say we're going down, me and you were going to go sign Terrell Pryor. I don't think he is really trying to go anywhere else. I think he knows this is where he succeeds. It's kind
Yeah,
of like the Josh McDaniels thing we talked about last time. Like Josh Daniels, he knows he succeeds in New England. Why leave? We can be like, we still have Hugh Jackson. Just come on back. We're signing. I think it'd be great, and he still carries weight from last year having his 1,000-yard season. I think. I think that still carries some merit. So it's like that would be also an attractor for other free agents. Like, okay, this team's kind of building up.
yeah, and not to
It's
mention
not huge, by the way. It's not huge, but
yeah, I mean, not to
yeah,
mention they tried trading for Terrell Pryor at the trade deadline, so they
yeah.
obviously like him. They obviously want him, so why not go out and grab him? All
And I think
right.
we could too after our 240, yards season.
Yeah, I agree. So we were talking about offensive line. I mean, we were looking around at it, and Cleveland's got good guards. That's one thing they definitely do. They paid Zeitler the most money a guard's ever been paid in NFL history last offseason, and they drafted Patino, I think in the second round. Like, was it last year or 2 years ago? He's been pretty good for them. I think they're set at guard. They got Joe Thomas coming back at left tackle. They don't have a bad offensive line spot, But one spot they are struggling is ever since they lost Alex Mack, they haven't had a good center.
Yeah, no, they have not a good center, and that's a huge, huge position to have.
Yeah, I mean, he's
So
the leader of the offensive line.
it
J.C.
is,
Treader is just not going to get it done for him.
and that's no knock on J.C. Treiter. It's just like you want to have a more solidified guy, and I think you had a good idea. So let's talk about it.
So my pick was Weston Richburg because as a Giants fan, I've seen this guy play a lot, and I'll tell you, the Giants are not going to bring him back. We we don't have the money to. We're trying to focus on other parts of the offensive line. We have a cheaper option, a center who's just been a better fit in our offense, and it's no knock on Weston Richburg. He is a great pass blocker, but he just has not been able to run block for us. But with two strong guards like that, he won't need to have to be such a good run blocker because he has guys who can help him, and he can.
He's not
Go
going to catch
ahead.
that avalanche, man. You know.
He's very athletic. He's very athletic in some senses of run blocking. He can go out. He can get out there on screens. He's one of those centers that can pull, which is very rare. To get a center that's so athletic he can pull. Weston Richburg is somebody I think you can get on the cheap after he lost his job this year, even though it was mostly because of injury. I think you can go out and get him for like $8 million a season. I think that'd be a great grab for the Browns. I think that's such a smart play for them. I think that could really help bring that offensive line together with what they have already.
Yeah, I mean, and just it's detrimental to build on both sides of the line, especially offense, especially when you're getting a new running back like we are, and get someone with some experience too. I think that's also important. It's kind of hard. I know the Colts they drafted that center out of Ohio State. He didn't have the best season, and that's because he's a rookie. So
Well, he had a very good season, but they got hurt this year.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. He got hurt. You're right.
But he was good as a rookie. Then he got hurt in his second year.
That's good. All right. Well, anyway, I'm just saying it's always good to get someone with good experience. That's why I had also recommended Travis Swanson.
Yeah,
for almost the same reason. For literally almost the same reasons as you. The Lions aren't resigning him. They have a cheaper option in Graham Glasgow, and he's a skilled guy who could play center for you.
Yeah, he's more of the run blocker, which is ironic because the Lions can't run the ball. But
they've never been able to run the ball.
But
so I don't know how he can be defined as a run blocker.
But I'll say this: I do like Travis Swanson. He did a very good job when he was in college. I was a very big fan of him. So I do think that he would be a good grab too. I just don't think
injuries though.
Yeah, he did have some injuries. I think Richburg's a better move, but I don't think that's a bad looker either. So and let's go on, and I think that's all we had for offense. So,
well, we wanted to discuss offense. We still have that a little bit more offense going on though. First pick in the second round.
That's true, but yeah, we do have some in the as far as other picks in the first round. I was going to get to that, but we do have our second round picks where we were looking at a couple of offensive linemen that we wanted to help address with it. You want to tell them a little more about it, Ryan?
Yeah, I definitely do. So with the first pick in the second round, I was thinking that we could target either Orlando. The way I see it, we talked about this before. We want to target a tackle. Our guard, as we've just been talking about, is pretty much set. Let's target a fucking tackle. And the two ones I'd like to target with the first pick in the second round is either Orlando Brown from Oklahoma or Isaiah Wynn from Georgia. Orlando Brown he's just a tackle. He's not really transferable, but he is a better tackle than Isaiah Wynn. The reason I would want Isaiah Wynn is because of his versatility to play guard, center, and tackle. And I think that's important with a young team.
I do like Isaiah Wynn. I honestly am not a big fan of Orlando Brown. I didn't talk to you too much about this because I want to save it. Yeah. He reminds me a lot of Eric Flowers, which I don't think is a good thing at all. He is
I don't think it is at all.
He's a very big guy. I mean, he's 6'8", 360. I mean, he's gonna probably blow away everybody at the combine with his numbers on the bench press. He's pretty athletic, but man, his footwork is terrible. He just gets killed by speed rushers. I think he could learn to play right tackle in the NFL. I don't see him as a left tackle, but the one thing I would say is that Joe Thomas is if anybody's going to get the best out of his players, it's going to be Joe
It's Joe
Thomas.
Thomas. That dude's a leader as fuck.
And he could end up, he doesn't need to step in as left tackle. He could learn from Joe Thomas and then step over, or he could just take over at right tackle. I think Orlando Brown is worth a good pick in the second, but I also like Isaiah Wynn because I think Isaiah Wynn, even though he's on the smaller side, I don't know if he could play right tackle as he's only 6'2", but he is a very good blocker. So, I mean, I think there's thoughts to go either way on those in the second round. You're not getting – it's hard to get a bona fide stud at the offensive line in the second round, but, I mean, we're picking pretty early. We got a shot at it.
Yeah, well, I think the thing is why I want Orlando Brown. I think he can go play right tackle, and I think what we're trying to draft for is that tackle position.
Yeah, I mean, I see him a little bit as a DJ Fluker type thing, where he honestly could see him play a little bit of guard just because of it's not like he did in the NFL, but just because he's such a mauler. I mean, it just depends.
No, I agree. And then, all right, that's offensive line.
Yeah, I mean,
try to build on that.
We do think that there should be some late round like throws at these guys. There's some guys we like late. There was one guy from Pitt that I brought up to Ryan. His name was Jared Jones-Smith. He has like a 7'4" wingspan. He played right tackle for Pitt this year. He was pretty solid. He wasn't anything special, but guys like that are people that the Browns are going to want to take as they try to develop this in the future. But yeah,
I mean, taking someone like that too, just his size alone, it's very coachable in the NFL, especially with Joe Thomas, and you can always try to plug him in. And it's not like you're moving him over from left to right. He's been a right tackle for the past couple of years. Drafting him into that position could work out in our favor.
Exactly. So it's just worth throwing some darts and hoping you make a hit at somebody. Mm-hmm. So next we're gonna move on to the defensive side of the ball, where I honestly think Browns do have some pieces to build forward on.
Which has been happening over the past couple of years, though. I mean, that's not, this is nothing. I mean, look at their edge rushers right now. Myles Garrett and Emmanuel Ogbah, just their two starters. We loved Ogbah last year, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, I was a huge fan of Ogbah when he came out. I think Ogbah came out 2 years ago. Correctly.
I have to double check. But when he came out, we loved him. I'm just saying they have a really good edge rusher right now.
Yeah, 2016 he came out. I loved Emmanuel Ogbah. He reminded me a lot of a Justin Tuck type build to him. He's a very fast, big, strong guy. Mm-hmm. He's a perfect 4-3 defensive end in my mind, which the Browns do run. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's time to give up on him yet. Like people are like the Browns need to get pass rushing. The Browns needs to get pass rushing. Yes, they do. I mean, Myles Garrett didn't show up like he needed to this year. Emmanuel Ogbah didn't show up like they needed to this year. But it doesn't mean that they don't have a ton of talent and a ton of potential. I mean, this is a young team.
Oh yeah, and let's not forget. I know Myles Garrett had that he had a foot injury, right, to start the season.
Yeah,
some sort of injury. Yeah. So I mean, and I don't want to. I don't like giving excuses to why they didn't do well, but also just give them time to grow and just let them develop into players. They were taken for a reason, and they also have a Nassib too, who's also very good.
Yeah,
I don't think that they're in a terrible spot with defensive end. I'm sure you could stand there, go sign somebody, or maybe draft someone in the 5th round, and just kind of keep rotating them in and out. But they're not hurting on edge rushers. If I had to think of teams that needed an edge rusher, I wouldn't think Browns immediately.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that they could help improve from it, but it doesn't mean that I don't think they have the talent on the roster to go out there and be a good pass rushing team next year. Who knows? I mean, like you said, we need to wait for these guys to develop. I mean, Carl Nassib came into college and stepped in.
He's a quarterback, right?
His brother was a quarterback. He was.
I thought he came into it as a quarterback. All right, never mind.
No, but I don't believe so. At least, but he was a walk-on at Penn State. Yeah. He eventually got to start his senior year. He went from having 2 sacks his entire career to leading the country with 15.5. I mean, with 19.5 tackles per loss. I mean, this guy I was a huge fan of coming out, and you just need to give these guys time. He took time in college to develop, you're going to take time in NFL to develop. It's a whole new game, and you can't just count these guys out so fast.
Yeah, especially when in an organization like the Browns that are kind of put in musical chairs with like their coordinators and defensive staff. Let these guys plan out, let them develop. And like they have the potency and they have the team to develop with the right coach. And I think they're on their way. I know I talked about this last year when they were going 0-16, and I said honestly they're not that bad of a team. I still think that. I really don't think they're that bad of a team. I think they have the pieces.
I think they drafted a lot of talent with not knowing what to do with them. They need to figure out what to do with them. But I mean, we're going to draft the pieces that they need to fill, and we're going to get this. We're going to get this new coaching staff with Todd Haley and people like that in here to try to figure this out because they haven't done a good job of the place. For example, I think Jabril Peppers was just a thoughtless decision. I think they took him purely because he's an athlete and not because they knew what to do with him, which is not how you want to draft.
Let's be honest. As much as I had fun watching him at Michigan, Jabril Peppers' draft stock was so bloated because he played all these positions. He played quarterback twice. He played running back a couple of times. It's not that crazy. Yeah. He was an okay. He was a pretty decent safety.
I mean,
he wasn't anything crazy.
I mean, he's the definition of a jack of all trades, but master of none, and that's why.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, we have him now, and this is the cards we've been dealt. So we'll work with them for now. But anyway, people always talk about the pass rush on this team. I think the one position on the D line that does need to be worked is defensive tackle. I mean, they have Danny Shelton. He hasn't really shown up to be what you expect from me, but I mean, he's a big body. He stuffs the middle. I wish he was better, but he's a nose tackle. We need a 3-technique defensive tackle who can rush the passer a little bit. And we had somebody in mind. Do you want to tell him a little bit about it, Ryan?
I mean, we had a couple people in mind, to be fair. But I mean, I really wanted Nick Fairley before his heart problem.
Yeah, but in the second round, we were talking about Maurice Hurst.
Yeah, I'm sorry. So in the second round, and we wanted to take Maurice Hurst from Michigan, and it was funny because when I first read that Maurice Hurst, so I read this on Walter Football, and it said Maurice Hurst rounds 1 to 3, and I was like, that's fucking bullshit. He's predicted to go to the Lions at 20, the 20th pick in the draft. And then I was like, you know what? I remember a time when Alshon Robinson was supposed to go 15th to the Lions, and he went 35th or 45th to the Lions in the second round of that year. So with Maurice Hurst, I think he could actually fall that low. And here's the reasons why. He doesn't really have a defined NFL position right now. He could either be a D end or a D tackle. And that kind of bodes well in our favor because I think we can teach him that 3-technique defensive tackle. He does need to gain a little bit of weight, though. Let's be honest. I don't know. He's a little undersized. I think he's perfect for the Browns if we can get him in this spot, though. By the way, this spot is 35. So we've taken our offensive tackle. We're now at 35, and we are looking at taking Maurice Hurst. I think he's a perfect fit for this team. They're keeping the defensive line young, too, which is good. I mean, Myles Garrett, Mano Agba, and you can add Maurice Hurst. I love having Maurice Hurst because of his versatility, what he did in Michigan, but he does need to work on a lot of things, and that's my only concern.
Yeah, I agree. And yeah, I mean, the Browns are in a great position where you can take an offensive line of the first pick, and you can then come back and get these types of guys who can slip out. I mean, every year you have these guys slipping out of the first round, and when you have these top 5 picks in the first round, these are the kind of guys you can get. And
you can afford to take it, man.
Yeah, I mean, he had 13 tackles per loss this year and 5.5 sacks. I mean, it's exactly what you want out of a defensive tackle like him. I mean, you need a good pass rusher in the middle, and with a guy like Danny Shelton, who's not going to give you that at all, he's perfect to help that defensive line.
Well, I mean, Maurice Hurst is very disruptive. That's why you can even because he played some DN at Michigan as well.
Yeah,
he's outrageously disruptive, and he's going to offset. So what Danny Shelton doesn't bring to the table, he will bring to the table. He is pretty much his opposite, which is great.
Great at a 3-technique, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then my only concern with Maurice Hurst, and I have a concern with the Lions too, because the Lions are kind of in the same situation with Alshon Robinson. It's kind of like Danny Shelton. And with Maurice Hurst, he just needs to gain a little bit of weight. because he is a little undersized for an NFL defensive tackle because he'll get mauled around by some of the guards there. But I mean, just look at his stats, and then he had some games that were kind of eye popping too. Like against Michigan State, he had 10 tackles. I don't want to look too far into that though. I don't want to like look into like saturated
That's
stats.
crazy. That's nuts though.
I know it's nuts, but like I don't want to look into that as his whole. I don't know. But I like Maurice Hurst a lot. I think he's perfect for 35. It's a safe pick if we can get him.
Mm-hmm.
So, and he's been good. Also, sorry, I like Dr. Maurice Hurst. He's been good for like 3 years too. He's not. This isn't like he just got good. He's been good for 3 years.
He's a very talented player. I think he'd be a great grab. Like, again, the Browns are lucked out. They have a lot of picks to get these guys. So I think that's a good pick. Let's go into it because we have not really talked about who we were going to get with our first round pick. We've been jumping around a little bit here. So to recap, we took Saquon number 1, and then the Browns also have the number 4 pick, and we're going to go ahead and take Minkah Fitzpatrick.
Absolutely. I mean, look what the Jets and the Colts did. I mean, that's your center fielder for your secondary, and then he can play well with Jabril Peppers. I love the Minkah Fitzgerald pick.
Yeah, I think he can bring a lot to the team that Jabril Peppers can't bring. He is such a good coverage safety, and he is a winner. He went to Alabama. He's only known winning. That's what they do. He can bring that mentality to the Browns, what Jamal Adams brought to. What brought to the Jets. Like, the Jets had such a winning mentality on defense, and that's exactly what you want with your team. You got to take these guys who all they know is winning and inject that into this program, and that's why it
means something now. It definitely means something. It's the same reason why people are trying to get people from New England. The same reason people are trying to get like assistants or like director of scouting to be like an assistant GM because they want that winning mentality, that win at all cost mentality, which is amazing, which is a good thing.
Exactly. So, I mean, what Jalen Ramsey brought to the Jaguars, I mean, it's just what you see. And I think that Minkah Fitzpatrick would bring so much. You're taking, and on my board, my number 1 and number 2 player. Saquon's number 1, Minkah's number 2. I think they're that talented. And
let's be for real, the Giants aren't taking Fitzpatrick.
No, they're not. They're going to go after a quarterback.
They should, by the
way. And I don't see the Colts taking him because the Colts just got Hooker.
Yeah, they would never. That was almost they didn't even need that because the Colts have so many other things to work on. If anything, I would be worried the Colts would take Saquon Barkley. That's why we took him first.
Exactly. But, and the Giants taking him, to be honest. I think Giants going quarterback, but if they're going other way, I think it's Saquon.
You have to, dude. You absolutely have to.
I think you take him number 1. You got.
I think the best part about this is if we can solidify 2 positions and on defense, having a center field safety is so fucking important to a secondary. And then if we can get Maurice Hurst, like that would be insane to me. Just anchoring down 2 positions on the defense, which would be amazing. Exactly. And we're in the position to do so, by the way. This isn't like it's some radicalized thoughts. We are in the position to do that.
The Browns have such a good situation if they play their cards right where they can rebuild this team this year. They have the cap room and they have the draft picks. And so there's other guys here that I like Roquan Smith is a good defensive player. But the thing is, the Browns have great linebackers. Like, low-key, the Browns linebackers played great this year. Christian Kirksey, only 25 years old, had 138 tackles and 2 forced fumbles playing weak side linebacker for the Browns. Schobert, who they drafted a few years ago, young guy, 24 years old, 144 tackles, 3 forced fumbles, and an interception.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. I don't know if everyone remembered this, but I definitely remember texting you this, by the way. In middle season last year, I texted that the Browns had a top 10 run defense. They did. They had I think it was number 8. That was crazy. So their linebackers are clearly doing something.
Then not to mention that I'm sure that was right before Jamie Collins got hurt. Jamie Collins was hurt for a lot of that season, and they're getting him back next year. That guy is a freak, and another guy who can help get that winning culture on that team, which is desperately important.
Patriots.
Exactly.
I mean,
so I
And
think,
think about it. I'm sorry, I don't want to go on like a tangent, but like think about like the Mastic mentality. Remember, like not to go high school football on you, but wasn't there like a winning mentality installed at Mastic when you guys were like 12-0?
I mean, for like for example, for one, since I was a kid, we did not know how to lose. As
No, I
that
remember that.
from the day I signed up for football to the day I stopped playing, we did not lose more than 3 games in a season. Nobody knew how to lose. There was a winning mentality, and that's what comes more from the youth programs, and that's where it comes from college to the NFL. It's
Exactly. Where you
starts
first
at the
started in the
bottom.
NFL too. Like, that's where you're hanging out in the NFL. But I think this is getting me so happy because we're not even Browns fans. But if you can get someone anchor down that secondary and then have Jabril Peppers as not the main guy, that's awesome. Just have him roaming around out there and have Fitzpatrick or Minka Fitzgerald solidify center field. And I would love if we could get Maurice Hurst. I was just thinking about it more and more since we talked about it. I'm like, that would be amazing.
This would
If
be
the Browns could get Maurice Hurst, man, he just needs to gain weight. That's my big. I can't stress that enough. He just needs
mhm.
to, or else he's gonna get fucking mauled in the AFC North. He'll get
Yeah.
fucking torched, dude. But he is the perfect three technique, and that's the only way. Oh, by the way, Maurice Hurst is only gonna work in the NFL as such. He's not gonna be your do it all nose tackle.
No.
No way. He
The
can't
only
be.
thing, well, the only other thing he could do is he probably could play defensive end in a 3-4 system.
True, but that's nowhere near his strength. I mean, you
Yeah.
could not have him. You can put him on the edge in like a high 5-2 like blitz area, but like don't try to do that bullshit because he just wouldn't be good. You'd just be, and the Browns don't need that. But anyway, sorry, tangents abound.
All right. So, and then the last position we have left in this defense is corner, which they didn't have a bad corners this year. Jason McCourty's up there in age, but he was a great sign for him. He
They're,
played
they're
very
just a little
well.
old. They're just a little
He,
old. It's not that
yeah, he
bad.
brought some veteran leadership to that team, though. And then Jamar Taylor did not play bad for him, but we were looking into this, and there's a lot of good corners available. I don't think the Browns need to go big and try to like get some star corner like
Mm-mm.
Malcolm Brown or Malcolm Butler, excuse me, or Tremaine Johnson. But you could go out
No,
here and get a Devontae Davis, who they've already interviewed, by the way, who has been very successful in the past. Maybe he won't be that great. You can get Kyle Fuller, who had a great rookie year and hasn't been that great since, but he's only 26. Morris Claiborne, who had a good final year at the Cowboys before he went to the Jets. Uh, David Emerson's had a couple good years. Prince Mukamara. There's just so many options. And another one guy I liked was
Dennard too.
Dennard. I
Hmm.
also like Brett Grimes. Just get another veteran in there.
I was saying if you want to spend a little bit more money, you can go get EJ Gaines. I'm not
Yeah,
opposed to that.
I don't hate that.
I think that'd be a really good pickup. And then also too, the guy I would also like. I don't want to interrupt your thunder, but Jonathan Joseph. I just for a leadership standpoint to have on that young team to
Mhm.
look up to. I think that would just be perfect. He's not the best, and I admit that, but as a leadership standpoint, I think that's perfect.
Yeah, I agree. I think they do have some leadership on that team already. So I want some guys to reduce, but I see where you're coming from with that. But we
Mm-hmm.
do like the idea of the Browns not only have two first round picks, they don't not only have two top 5 second round picks, they also have another second round pick towards the end of the second round. So
Three
I
picks. Ah, ah, ah.
I think they should go corner there.
Oh, fuck yeah. I mean, they need to, and it's just because it's such like a dummy position to get. You can just solidify some youth in your cornerbacks because they were just a little old, and now you can kind of keep breeding him in to be the starter eventually under these guys. And he doesn't have to play right away is the best part. They can Trey Wayne's that shit. Remember how the
Mhm.
Vikings kind of like just kind of held it low key?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm more than okay there. But now, who do we take?
I think you go ahead and you stick to this guys who don't know how to lose, and you get a guy who hasn't lost in literally a year. The only guy who hasn't lost all of this year, and you take Mike Hughes out of Central Florida.
Oh, you mean defending national champion Mike Hughes from
Yeah,
Central Florida?
defending that.
Apparently Central Florida won.
Bring
I
on
forgot about
Bama.
that. Yeah, that would have been so cool, but they would have got their ass kicked. So well, it's fine. No,
Yeah.
it's okay. It's okay. No, I think they would have actually would have had a pretty good game. I actually like Mike Hughes a lot. He's got good height for a corner too. 5'11". That's kind of like your perfect standard
Yeah.
height.
It's
Um,
it's it's not too small. It's not. It's not. I
No,
wouldn't say it's good hype, but it's not bad hype.
no, but I'm sorry. By good height, what I mean is like he's not going to be designated to be like a Quandre Diggs who's like always in the nickel and then has to get moved to safety sometimes. Like you can have him. He can be versatile on inside and outside of the ball. So I think that's a good thing to look at in drafting a cornerback like this because you have
Mhm.
to put him somewhere. And if he's not going to be the immediate number one guy, he might have to play some little odd corners, little nickel, little dime packages. So I think
Yeah.
he's a versatile guy to have, and you can kind of mold him to your defense. He didn't play any crazy fucking defense. He wasn't playing like that. Who was at college? I think it was Iowa State. They have like a 3-3-5.
Yeah, West
So
Virginia does stuff like that too.
yeah, and that's not what Central Florida did. The best of my recollection.
Yeah.
So
But yeah,
perfect
I
fit.
like Mike Hughes. He had 11 pass breakups, a forced fumble, 4 interceptions, and 49 tackles. He has pretty good stats. He was a very good kick returner. He had two
I was gonna say yeah,
scores
he's a character.
and a punt return touchdown. Just shows his athleticism. He could be a pick six threat with that kind of athleticism.
Oh
Uh,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, not even pick six threat, but like he'll do something with the ball when he intercepts it. You
yeah,
know,
I mean, his comparison by NFL.com is Bradley Roby, and I think that would be a
not a
great
bad
guy.
comparison.
Yeah, I mean, he's been such a good piece for the Broncos where he could start anywhere, but instead he's just that slot guy who just takes over for them, and if anybody goes down, he is the guy for them. Uh,
Right.
I think that was a great grab, and I think that really could give you honestly 5 starters with your.
No, I think everyone here is starting.
I think you can get 5 starters. Just crazy if you could do that. I mean, you got like a nickel guy. Maybe your right tackle doesn't start immediately day one, but you got
You
you
integrate
got
him in a system, though.
you
I
got
mean,
five
you're
guys
going to
that can
integrate.
play.
Yeah, five guys that are going to be contributors, at least contributors. The funny thing is the only question mark I'd have with playing wise is the right tackle that we'd take. That's my only
Yeah,
question because I don't know if it wouldn't technically count as a starter, but I know he'd get thrown in there for some extra run packages or just to
It
mix it
could
up.
start. It just
He
it
could start. Yeah,
depends.
it's just the one question mark, and that's only just because of the position, not because of his talent. I really, really love the Browns. Their first 5 picks, it's so perfect. We're geniuses. We're gonna fix your city. Don't burn to the ground. Don't eat horse poop.
And
Um,
and we left plenty of money left for them to spend next offseason.
mhm.
You got your quarterback. Hello, your 2020 Super Bowl champions, Cleveland Browns.
No. No, I'm not saying that. I know you wanted me to be like, yeah, let's do this. No, I'm not saying that.
We'll see.
2021.
We'll see.
Um,
I'm gonna rip this clip, and we'll play it in 2020.
I hope they go. If they go, I hope they go 16-0 and then get beat by the Giants by
I
David
hope
Tyree.
that sounds fantastic to me. So I'm good with that. But they probably won't do anything. They'll probably end up drafting Josh Allen and just blowing it all like they always do.
Well, right, because I mean, if you are a Browns fan, you need to save this podcast, send it to your fucking garbage organization, and then have them hire us. We'll run your entire organization. But anyway, I think we did a really good job, and also they're in a good position to draft. It's kind of hard to fuck up, but the Browns have done it consistently, so you can never count them out of losing. But just a little draft recap for us, if we can. Shaquan Barkley was our first pick,
Yep.
solidifying running game, and he's just a huge, huge playmaker, game changer. We're going to take a 4th pick. You talk about him. I know you like him.
We go ahead and take Minka Fitzpatrick. Just great safety. Really just lock down that secondary. He could really be a game changer for any team that takes him. But at number 4, he's just a great pick for him.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
And then,
4 to 5. Then we got a tackle with either Isaiah Wynn or Orlando Brown.
both
So
both good options. Both bring different things to the table. Then
got Maurice Hurst, man. Maurice
Maurice Hurst,
Hurst,
boy.
gain some weight, man. Gain some weight. That's all you got to do.
And then
That's all you
finally
got to do.
take Mike Hughes out of Central Florida.
Which is great. I think I'm trying to find like which one fits the best, but they all fit so well.
It'd be all great picks. But to be honest, when we're talking about like Browns always fuck things up. They said,
They
yeah, they
do.
did. But no, I love their signings. I thought John Dorsey was a great grab.
It
I thought
was.
Elliot Wolf to be the assistant GM. I thought Elliot Wolf was a good GM choice. So get both of them. I'm hoping for them. I hope that they figure this out. I mean, good luck to them. Hopefully they listen to us and get this done.
I wish them moderate luck, but that was fixed in the Browns. Let's
All
hope
right.
it works.
So let's go ahead. Let's move into it and go to our new segment, our weekly draft profile. Every week, guys, we're going to go ahead and take some guy who maybe is not well known or is just going to be a later round pick. And we're going to dig into him and give you a little bit of extra like review of these guys, dig in a little bit more, do a little bit more film than we'd normally do on these guys as we're trying to just give you some base facts. And we're going to spend a little time on it.
Yeah, and I think this is a really good one. It's really prevalent to like what's going on with smaller schools. Let's just get into it. I'm excited. I'm excited. This is a really good topic. We actually retweeted this, so sneak peek. Yeah, go ahead. Start it off, man.
So Dallas Goedert. I mean, people are really starting. You're going to hear his name more and more and more. People are really starting to take notice. But I mean, he's a D2 guy out of South Dakota State. You wouldn't necessarily know his name until draft season comes around. So the beauty of the NFL draft, and he's a freak, man. 6'5", 260.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He
good hands too.
Good hands. Former high school basketball player. He was a stud. All those tight ends are. I mean, he reminds me a lot of what we saw with Adam Shaheen coming out with just that big athletic tight ends.
Yeah, and then the good thing is that he's been playing football his whole life too. You watch him run some of these routes. He was obviously the pinnacle of that offense. I didn't see anyone else do anything remotely close to that when I watched the game. No. And also too, you just have to think. I was actually thinking this. I was like, man, am I going to compare this fucking tight end to Gronk? Because every good tight end Gronk, but I'm like, I can't think of anyone else to compare him to. He has very Gronk-like comparisons.
Yeah, we can compare him to Travis Kelce, who also gets compared to Gronk.
Yeah, who is pretty much just the Chiefs Gronk. I hate doing it though because I'm like, everyone's like, oh yeah, he's like Gronk, and I'm like, no, he's not. But like this guy kind of is.
All right, he's officially a little Gronk. This has been decided.
It's officially a little Gronk. You can stamp that and send it in. But yeah, he has great size, 6'5", 255. He also went to the school that Zach Zenner went to. So
yeah,
cool facts. Yeah,
that's true. I was reading about him. There's some cool stuff about him outside of being a former basketball player. One of the things that people attribute when you watch him on tape, he's such good body control. He has such good hand-eye coordination. He was taught how to ride a unicycle when he was very young.
Oh, really?
And, yeah, I mean,
I didn't know that.
I don't think that's crazy to think that really is shown in his body control. I mean,
it's little things, man. I mean, like hockey players take like ballet all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Like it helps them with their stride and posture.
But when you watch him, he really does have great body control. He has hands that are I can't explain where he got the. I mean, you don't have hands on a unicycle, so but
his unicycle you do. I don't know.
Yeah. But it was
imaginary hands.
That when you watch his tape and you turn it on, he gets one-handed catches all over the place. I mean,
yeah,
yes,
and that wasn't
Division 2, but still, it was crazy.
It doesn't matter. You just have to like those. That's still a ball being thrown in the air, being contested by 3 other dudes. Like,
mm-hmm.
That's impressive, regardless of where it is. It's impressive. It's just in practice.
Yeah, I mean, he has highlight reel tape. Like a lot of people would have what he has almost every single game as the best catch of their career, and he does it consistently.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He doesn't consistently, and also, too, I like how he finishes his play as well. Like, he never just, like, makes the catch. He always looks for a way to, like, rebound and go right back up and go to the end zone.
Very strong runner.
Yeah, absolutely, which is great. And I think my favorite part about him watching the tape, the way he gets separation off, like, a fast corner, it amazes me because he gets, like, that great separation.
He is very fast. I do think he could work on his route running, but
I think he has a restricted. His stride seems like restricted almost.
Mm-hmm.
Not that I think he has good route running, but I think he has like a restricted stride. I think he has good separation at the point of the ball. So at the point of contact, I think he gets the better separation.
You never really you never really see him make like a double move type play. He kind of shows where he's going whenever
Oh
he
yeah, no, they're mostly stream routes. I
kind of just
mean,
telegraphs where he's going. And it doesn't matter because he's so good. But in the NFL, he's going to have to be better
exactly, yeah, in the NFL.
about trying to go off these corners and be able to get separation from. But I mean, his stats in college are crazy. I mean, he had almost 1,300 yards in 2016 with 11 touchdowns,
Yeah.
92 receptions. Like that's insane from a tight end. And then just last year, he had 1,111 yards, 7 touchdowns, 72 reception. I mean, he's just a freak. These numbers, you do not see these from tight ends, and yet he is just blowing people away. I love him. 600-yard games in 2017. He really could be a star in the NFL.
Yeah, he kind of reminds me like Zach Ertz.
Yeah,
I would play it.
I saw a comparison with him and Zach Ertz, and I definitely could see it. He is.
Which, I mean, yeah, go ahead.
He's a very good player. And with tight ends, it's not unheard of to see these guys come out of nowhere and just be
Tear it
from a
up.
small school or just be a basketball player. Yeah, just tear it up. Honestly, there's more of those guys. So like you gotta look.
Antonio Gates, man, he was just a basketball player at Toledo, or
Tony
Eastern
Gonzalez,
Michigan.
too.
Tony Gonzalez. It is, but it's
Jimmy
just
Graham.
Jimmy Graham. My only concern, my biggest concern with our friend Goddard from Jimmy Neutron, is that his blocking in the NFL is not going to be good. That's my biggest concern.
Well, I mean, he has size, man. Like he has size, and it seems like he has the desire to block. I think he can be taught it. I don't think he's going to be successful as a rookie. I think that could restrict him from getting on the field early in his career. But not a lot of tight ends are great, like right away. It takes a lot.
It's a project.
You
need a project.
Yeah.
Unless they were like an Aaron Hernandez type guy or a Gronk type guy. Even Gronk wasn't amazing.
Evan Ingram.
Yeah. Evan Ingram. Yeah, Evan Ingram was more of a receiver though, bro.
True.
But I like it. It's a great pick, and I think he's ranked in the second round overall. I think he's kind of like getting second round grades. But that can easily dip into the first if he stunts at the combine. People could be like, "Well, we need to solidify our tight end position as a red zone threat." Yeah, we can do that with him.
I'm looking forward to seeing him at the combine. I would love to see what his hand size is. I mean, I'm big on the hand size with the combine. I'm kind of like
you're like Charlie's uncle.
Yeah, I'm like Charlie's uncle with hand size.
Sorry, with your punchline. I'm sorry.
Same thing. I really am obsessed with it, though. I think that if you have big hands as a receiver, a quarterback, whatever, it really does just help. If you're a skill player, it does help a lot.
Yeah, I mean, big hands are just good anywhere outside of Always Sunny. But like, but just like even in the game of football, picking up a football, you can't have baby hands. Like, I mean, you can't put on your Hulk hands and try to pick up a football. It's just not working.
But I'm looking forward to seeing what he does outside of his hand size.
Outside of his hand size, we're all excited for that. I think he can really help teams. But where do you think in the second round he's going to go? Because we've already discussed kind of with the Browns what's going to happen with those first three picks in the first and second round.
Mm-hmm.
Because with a tight end, it's not like people are just like, oh, best player available, we'll take a tight end. That makes sense. Because like they'll be like, no, we'll just take a cornerback or we'll take a good defensive tackle. So he has to kind of be in the right spot, right time. Yeah. I don't know who's going to reach for him because I don't think he goes in the first round. I think he could, but I don't think he does.
Hey, there's always the pick that everybody gives for any good tight end ever and say he's going to the Patriots.
That's true, and first of all, wouldn't blame him. Wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, with the way Gronk's talk about leaving, if they could get a chance at him, I wouldn't hate that. But I mean, are they going to pick him in the first round? I don't feel like they would. And I don't think he's going to be in the second round. So I mean, maybe they trade out of the first round like they used to always do. So who knows?
Yeah, back to their old bullshit. But I'm excited. I'm excited to see this guy. If you get a chance to watch his highlight tapes, I highly recommend it.
Yeah, it's fun to watch.
Yeah, good music video too.
Yeah.
I don't know which one you watch. I watched the 2018 Jack's profile one. So
gotcha. I watched his career one.
Oh, okay. That was pretty good.
But anyway, so that was our draft profile. Hopefully we can even dig more into these combine stats as we get farther ahead. I'm really looking forward when we can start using that. But
I agree. I'm actually just going to tweet his draft profile out right now so you guys can look at it.
great. So, guys, go check out our Twitter at NFL Draft Punks.
Mm-hmm.
We changed from last one where we told you guys. So make sure you follow at NFL Draft Punks.
Do it. And we also have a really cool picture.
Yeah, to just look for the Daft Punk helmets.
Yeah. All right, let's dive on into our next thing.
All right, so we promised you guys we were gonna talk about these late round quarterbacks. So me and Ryan both just picked out two guys. I told you a little bit last week about one of the guys I liked, but let's go ahead and dive into them. Ryan, do you want to talk about your guy first?
I fucking do. So I alluded to this last. I alluded to this last episode when we were talking about the Redskins, and I had brought up that I would like to see them take Riley Ferguson out of Memphis. Just a little backstory on Riley Ferguson. 2017 stats, he had a 63% completion rating, threw for about 4,200 yards, 36 touchdowns, 9 interceptions. 2016 was almost identical, 60%, same thing. But he had less yards, 3,698 for 32 touchdowns and 10 interceptions in about the same amount of games, too. So that just shows that he did develop some growth and separate that. My favorite thing about Riley Ferguson is his release. His release is super, super bueno. I loved watching on the film. I watched a couple of games with him. I watched the UCF game, the UConn game, the UCLA game, and his release was always consistent. Being a taller guy, he has a high point of release, which will make it prone to, like, he's not going to get knocked down as easily. It's not going to get tipped, which is great. It's obviously a good thing to have, and that's why people criticize quarterbacks like Baker Mayfield for being a little bit smaller. So that was my favorite thing about watching him. Excuse me. He has a tight spiral. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, I'm in love with this guy. He's good arm strength, good accuracy. His only caveat with his accuracy, under pressure, it fucking sucks. His under pressure fucking sucks. But we'll go to the cons list pretty soon. Don't worry. He doesn't get happy feet, which I love. He plants his feet, makes the throw, but let's go into his cons now. His accuracy under pressure is not good. He'll throw a pick. He'll throw haywire. He gets just a little flustered, and you're going to get pressure in the NFL, and he needs to fucking fix that. So, another con I have is mobility. He tries to duck out of a tackle, which is not what you're supposed to do. Just go down. If you're going to go down, if you're going to get hit, just go down. Don't try to do any fancy shit. You like what Josh Rosen does. When he knows he's going to get hit, he just goes down. Yeah. And there was one he tried to evade a tackle on a run play, and he just got lit up. And it's you can't do that, especially when you're 210 and 6'4", buddy.
Yeah, not in the
NFL. You're gonna get your shit fucking wrecked. So he doesn't slide, which I found was a little much. Another thing I wanted to point out is that his maturity was kind of in question for me.
Yeah,
because when he was at Tennessee, so he had to get redshirted his freshman year, and then when he was going to Springs, he had no intention of returning to Tennessee in the fall, but he just didn't tell anyone, and he just left.
Yeah.
So that's I have to give him a low mark for that. That has to carry over to some point. It wasn't that long ago. It wasn't like he did it when he was 12. He was 21, which sucks, but it's okay. My biggest problem with him though is that he locks down his receiver way too much. You know exactly where he's going to. His pump fake fucking blows. You know exactly where he's throwing to. Just watch a little bit of film. You can see you see him hitting that seam route. There was one. It was an obvious seam. They tried to do this fake screen pass to the running back, and then he's like, oh, he didn't even complete his pump fake.
Yeah,
which is bullshit. Sorry, were you say something?
No.
Okay. And he relies on screens a little way too much, by the way. Which I'm not saying is a terrible thing, but it's you kind of want to see him sling it out because that's what you have to do in the NFL. Screens and short passes will get ate up eventually, and you're going to have to be able to sling it out. My round predict. You good? Okay. My round predictions for him is 3 to 6. The reason why I say 3 to 6 is I think in most mock drafts he's from 5 to 7. I'm going to say 3 to 6 because he has such physical and innate abilities throwing wise and not under pressure. I think he's going to really stunt on some haters in the combine, and that's really going to raise his draft. You know how much that raises draft stocks, so I think they're going to show that, this guy's really good. And a big problem with him too is that he's really skinny. I think he can bulk up in time to make weight at the draft class. This isn't a fucking fight, but you know what I'm talking about. For example, there was a guy. Do you remember the guy Nate Boyer?
Yeah.
The long snapper for
Mhm.
Seattle from Texas.
Yeah.
So they said at the East and West like Senior Bowl or whatever he was because he didn't go to the big one. He went to like another Senior Bowl. He was at 195, and they're like, okay, well you need to be at like 230 for us to even consider drafting, and he got that weight in like 2 months. So I think that's weight's a very controllable thing. But yeah, I think why I put him at 3 to 6, why I put him early was just because I think he can step on some haters at the combine time, and I gave him some potential teams to go to. Where did you go? You're right there. Which team? Let's pick a conference, and I will tell you what team.
Sorry, you just lagged out.
Oh, sorry. So I said I also. Where did you leave off for my lag?
Just like a few seconds ago.
Oh, okay. Pick a conference, any conference, and I will tell you the team that would best fit him and why.
Well, yeah.
NFC. Okay. Pick a division.
NFC East.
All right, good, good. So that was what we alluded to last time. Was going to the Redskins. He goes to a QB. It's really simple too. He goes to a QB guru. Got Jay Gruden right there, and he gets Alex Smith. That's perfect for his development, I think, because he doesn't have to start right away, and he shouldn't start right away. In no way, shape, or form should you be putting Riley Ferguson right away. Get him to develop with Alex Smith. He has a pretty decent run game. He has some okay receivers, not great. But I think he can really develop under Jay Gruden and Alex Smith. I think Alex Smith thing is the maturity, and Jay Gruden thing he'll learn. He'll learn NFL plays. He'll learn how to be a good and smart, precise quarterback. Alex Smith, it will be a maturity and how to handle the NFL thing, as long as playing too. And Colt McCoy is also there, by the way. So
yeah,
you can give me one more conference because I have a whole list.
One more. All right.
One more.
Let's go AFC.
All right, AFC what?
West.
AFC West? Okay, this one's pretty simple. I picked the Chargers because Philip Ocean, actually, I put in this one, isn't a youngin' no more. And you have good receivers to build around him with a good running game. So if you need it, thinking about it with the Broncos, and I'm like, no, they're just going to stack up on QBs anyway. They're probably going to get a free agent. There's no reason to draft this guy. I would say the Chargers just because of Philip Rivers' age and how you can build around the team. Because no one is taking this guy as the potential starter. They're taking him as a backup or someone that they can learn under, or somebody he can learn under and develop with. And that was wasting your time with Riley Ferguson.
All right, that makes sense. So I was just questioning. So you mentioned you had a good release. You said it was high. Is it a fast release? Does he have a quick release, or is it drawn out?
There's no wasted motion when he throws. It's very quick, very precise. My only caveat with that, the only thing is though, he does throw a little high, but that's okay. I think that's okay. It's better to throw a little high than a little low. But
all right. Well, let me go ahead and tell you about we got in a little bit to last week. Logan Woodside from Toledo. So
I came about Toledo guys.
Logan Woodside is just such a good story. I mean, he's had to earn everything he's got. I mean, the way he put it is he's like the life does not want me to be a quarterback, and just he had to fight. He had to go into 2 different QB battles in high school to get a starting quarterback job. He had to go 3 in college. He only made it in college. He had no offers. He went out to Cincinnati quarterback camp, and he came out and he won the whole thing. He ended up getting a job. He ended up getting an offer from Toledo, and he just lit it up when he was there, man. I love his tape. I was looking there. I mean, first of all, his stats are incredible. I mean, he threw for 4,129 yards and 45 touchdowns in 2016 with, a 69.1% completion rating. He also threw for 3,882 yards and 28 touchdowns this year. Not quite as good, but he lost a lot of talent in Kareem Hunt and Michael Roberts, who are both NFL players. But he is entire time there. 3 or more touchdown passes in every regular season game in 2016. He included 4 or more in 6 contests, 24 completions of 40 yards or longer, 10 games with 1 or 0 interceptions, 9 games with 23 completions more. I mean, these stats are just nuts. And then
They're eye-popping, man.
He even won the MAC Offensive Player of the Year this year. I know, an impressive award, one that's highly touted.
I think more than the Heisman, yes.
But I looked into I mentioned this last week a little bit, is what that competition he was in. He was in the State Farm QB accuracy competition, and probably the top 2, Josh Rosen and JT Barrett. There wasn't a ton of big names, but he was
good.
But I mean, 22. He finished the competition in 22.54, and Logan Woodside finished it in 24.53. Very close, not too much longer. JT Barrett came in 3rd place. It took him 43.55 seconds. It wasn't even close. And that's just how it went. Everybody after that was 40 to 50. Like, him and Rosen's accuracy weren't even close. And then I went ahead and I watched some tape on him. And one of the really where I saw was the Miami game. He played Miami this year. Whole turnover chain defense. And then a turnover chain defense. He had a great game. I was trying to keep track of it. He had a couple big throws. He was made about 3 throws over 20 yards. He only made like 1 over 30 yards, but he was throwing those. He had 3 drops by his wide receiver at passes over 30 yards. He hit him on the hands and they dropped it. He had 5 drops of passes at 10 plus yards. Just this team was just not helping him at all. And when I was looking, the only pass I saw him throw about 3 not catchable passes the entire game. And one of them was because he was falling at the time, and the other one I think was a misread with his wide receiver. He was putting that ball right on the numbers every single time he threw it. He gave his wide receiver a chance to come up with every single ball. He ended up finishing the game versus Miami. Very good defensive team. 2 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Which is amazing from a Toledo.
Yeah. I mean, like, I'm not going to say – like, one thing I wanted to look for with him is a lot of these colleges will just throw these dump-off passes. No. He threw some dump passes. He gets a lot of dump passes, but he also is not afraid to go deep with that ball, which I was very excited to see. His accuracy was incredible. Like, there was one pass he made that was right down the sideline. It was like 40 yards. I mean, it was a little bit behind him. Like, it was a little bit, like, short. He had to slow down his pace, but it didn't really matter. Another thing that I wasn't too great, though, I'll mention is he missed a TD where he put it on the guy's hands, but, it was a high one. He had to really jump for it. And, yes, he probably should have came down with it, but, he could have put that one lower. He was wide open. I have all these notes of things that he didn't do so great. He fumbled one time but trying to make a run. He's got to hold on to the ball better. But his accuracy in the red zone astounded me. He was putting these balls in the tightest spots, and you could tell the guy's not that fast, but he was just rolling out of the pocket and making plays. There's one play where he throws a ball right on the edge of the end zone, and the guy makes like a Santonio Holmes toe tap catch. He was making plays for these guys. He was just so impressive. his accuracy just blows me away. I don't think his throw power will ever be anything crazy where he's going to be like this great NFL quarterback, but an NFL quarterback, I could see him being like an Alex Smith type quarterback, which I know is such like a typical comparison to make for like a game manager, but I could see that. I could see like a Jeff Garcia. He actually works with Jeff Garcia and Brad Gutowski or whatever his name is. I can't think of it right now. Gostowski in the offseason. I really like him. He is my sleeper pick for this year, and he is so just undervalued right now. I mean, he doesn't even appear in a lot of draft boards.
No, I know, absolutely. And then so what round do you think he gets taken?
It's so tough to say. I think he deserves to be a fourth round.
This is reasonable.
Just the way kind of coverage he's getting right now. It just depends. I think he will get people will pay attention to him eventually, but he will get drafted. But fourth round is where we're at value right. Hopefully, he can get there for his sake.
I hope so, man. I mean, it's always good to see people from the MAC doing well, especially we saw Kareem Hunt and Michael Roberts. Kareem Hunt did a little better than Michael Roberts.
Yeah, much. I mean, but we'll just see where he goes. I think he could be a great. I think he'd be a great option as a backup quarterback, and I think that he could end up being a starter. But I think he would be a very good backup in the NFL. Which is,
and I think the best part is too. I mean, we just saw the Super Bowl champions win a championship with a backup quarterback.
Exactly.
So it's always good to have a competence, like a high competency level at quarterback. So
I'd love to see him go to like the Chiefs or something and learn underneath Andy Reid for a little bit.
QB genius.
Mm-hmm. And then move on eventually. Just be the backup quarterback for Patrick Mahomes, who he tends to run around a little bit. He could end up getting in there.
Yeah,
but I think he would. I think that would be a good spot for him.
I agree. I mean, I think with that too, he can slip into a lot of teams, maybe unnoticed. That's probably on their fault though. I was thinking maybe the Seahawks for him.
Yeah. I mean, he doesn't necessarily have the speed. They always try to get like a guy who can kind of fit the athleticism Russell Wilson for the offense, but I don't hate it. So let's move on. Let's, for sake of time, who's your next quarterback?
Rosa Menzel. It is Patrick Mahomes, backup, actually, from Texas Tech. That was Nick. And also, by the way, when I pronounce his name, everyone fucking pronounced it wrong. So nobody better make fun of me because the three different announcers said it three different ways. Nick Shimonik from Texas Tech. 2017, he was a full-time starter, 67% completion rating, which is pretty good. 3,963 yards with 33 touchdowns and 10 interceptions. A little concern there with the picks. That's okay. When he was the backup for Patrick Mahomes, he, in a span of about 4 games, threw 38 for 58, 65.5%, 464 yards, 6 touchdowns, 1 interception. And then he's best viewed as more of an arm talent. And he's definitely a project, but I think he's a project that teams can take their chances on. When I watched the film, he stood up very comfortably in the pocket and identified where he was going to throw. He really uses his stride to kind of keep the play alive, keep anything the deep ball open. He takes a lot of his checks into account. So how quarterbacks kind of do their checks to kind of keep the defense honest. It's like, okay, he's checking here, here, and here. He actually, when I watch the tape, he thoroughly checks everything, make sure there's an open window, make sure when the open window comes in. He can really read. So what it issue was he was having a little trouble reading some safeties. Like he couldn't read a hanging safety, which I guess is on the safeties part though. But when I was watching some of his throws, he could read if the safety was going to come in on his tight end or something, and he very obviously audible to the his third check. Like if his tight end was his fourth check, he could identify before the play even really broke down. He could identify that the safety was going to come in on his tight end, and he kind of made it known that he was going to go with the third check. And so, I thought was really impressive, by the way. So just coming on the pocket, he takes the time he needs. Now let's go to his cons. He is horribly inconsistent. He is just he got benched for it. He literally got benched for it. I'm not a fan of his release. It's a little slow. It's a little sloppy. It's kind of like when you put your hand in applesauce, kind of like bring it back
Mm.
out. It's not great. It's a little sloppy. He's another guy who doesn't slide. I don't know if he just tries to like run, but when I look at him, he just doesn't. He'll do like almost anything to not slide.
Yeah.
He'll fall down. They're like, just slide. Like this is not that hard. And the worst part is, for as much pocket comfortable as he is in the pocket, what I noticed the worst was that he does not identify a defensive end or a linebacker coming at him. He stands there like a fucking deer in the headlights, but he doesn't even know where the headlights are. He'll get wrecked like that. So, and which is a huge problem in the NFL. But also too, decided to get hanging by the safeties. The reason why I have him as a sleeper though is because he proven that he can play competent, competitive big boy ball. I know it's the Big 12, but I think he can utilize his checks to identify windows properly and kind of hang off. So his problem with the hanging safeties, he can probably address that and fix that with some proper film work and NFL coaches. Because when you get the NFL coaches, you're getting the best of the best, and they're going to help you identify your flaws, especially if it's like a film room or just kind of a read flaw. I think that's perfect, and I think he's going to get better at identifying blitz rushes through that and linebackers coming off the edge. I think he can really utilize that, coinciding with the right coach, of course. But what was really interesting was that I have a stat right here. I'm going to pull it up. So he was 135. Let me see what that was. Oh, my thing went away. I have my notes. Okay, so on deep balls, he has He had a 135.4 passer rating on deep passes.
Mm.
I think that could just. And I'm not saying this guy's going to be amazing. I think at best he's going to be a competent backup. But I think with the right system, he could really flourish into like a traveling backup and could make some serious money.
Yeah.
Nothing crazy about the guy. I liked him because he could really draw up plays. His deep pass was obviously good. Nothing too crazy about him. Just a fan.
Yeah, I mean, which is something you want out of a backup quarterback. You want a guy who's smart and knows what he's doing. I mean, granted, he played in that Texas Tech system, which is not even compared to an NFL system. So he's going to have a lot of learning to do when he comes to the NFL. But a lot of those recognitions do sound like he is going to be smart enough to pick up an NFL system if he gets a chance.
But just the fact that I saw him like point out, you saw him going through his checks and he could point out the safeties and he could really read a defense very well. I mean, but like just of his problems, I think they're very fixable at a base level.
Yeah.
Like reading a hanging safety, an NFL coach can work on that. A guy like Andy Reid can show him the way.
Yeah,
but really help him out.
That throwing motion is going to be a problem. He's going to figure out.
He's going to have to, and the worst part is about a throwing motion. It's like you really can't fix it at this point. It's like you can't fix your throwing motion.
I mean, you can shorten it up a little bit, but it's definitely
but
not
he's a tall,
something you want.
Tall, lanky guy, so it's like
yeah.
You don't, and that's the worst part. That you don't know if it's going to be if he uses like a lot of momentum. But anyway, I see him more of like a 4th to 7th round guy. He could easily be a undrafted free agent, but I like him as a project with that deep ball passer rating. I think that's something to just really behold, especially if you can get that within the right system and work with it. I think you can really get him a good, solid backup. And I know it's not a sexy thing. Like, I'm not finding you diamond in the rough. I'm just finding a competent guy that people might not be looking at. And I think he can start a couple of games, too. I think he could eventually. He has a size. He's about 6'4".
All right. So my guy that I want to talk to you about a little bit is Kyle Allen.
Excited.
So Kyle Allen, he's the opposite of kind of like what you were talking about, where like, I think he can develop as a backup. I think Kyle Allen, he's all or nothing. Either Kyle Allen figures it out and becomes an NFL starter, or he never plays football again.
Really?
So the thing with Kyle Allen is he has been so highly touted his entire life. He was a number 1 high school quarterback prospect coming out of college originally. Was supposed to come out and replace Johnny Manziel. Got beat out by Kenny Hill. And he eventually came in and got the job from Kenny Hill. And he came in as a freshman and beat number 3 Auburn when Texas A&M was unranked. 277 yards, 4 touchdowns, an interception. Put Texas A&M to the top 25. I mean, his career started good. I mean, he was such a highly touted guy, and he played really well as a freshman. In his sophomore year, he ended up getting the starting job when Kenny Hill transferred away, and he led them to a 5-0 start and led the SEC in passing efficiency. And that's where everything went downhill for him. He went up and played Alabama. He 3 pick sixes in one game, and then he went 12 of 34 for 88 yards versus Ole Miss and lost his job to freshman Kyler Murray. It later came out that he hurt his throwing shoulder versus Alabama, and he just never got that job back. Transferred to Houston this year. And, man, I just think that really killed his confidence. And that's so big with quarterbacks is you have to be a confident player. And if you don't have that, you may never recover. He transferred to Houston. I was thinking this is his chance. This is his chance to make a comeback with a very good Houston team that, like, they have been good the last couple of years.
Prolific offense, too. Yeah.
Yeah, great offense. I really thought this was his chance. He came in there and went in one game, went and got a 93.9 completion percentage in a game, which is insane. Like, granted, it was versus Rice, but still.
Yeah, but that's it can't even play that into effect. It's not like it's like, oh, he scored 8 touchdowns. Like, yeah, it's right, but that's like a completion percentage. That's huge. Go on.
No, yeah, exactly. I mean, that completion percentage broke a record for Houston, and that's just incredible. He threw 309 yards and 2 touchdowns, but versus Arizona, he had 78.1% completion rate, 225 yards, a touchdown, but 2 interceptions. Then he came out and had a bad game against Texas Tech, 217 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 picks, with a 61.5 completion percentage. Like, yes, these aren't good, but these weren't so bad. And then he lost his job. You threw 4 picks in the last 3 games, you lost your job, and he just never got it back. And then he came. And after that, he declared for college, declared for the NFL, which I have no idea what he's doing. Doing that, why you declare after being benched? He graduated already. He could have gone anywhere. I think it was an awful decision, but you know what? He's shown signs of being a great quarterback. He has all the intangibles. When I watch him play, he can make all those NFL throws when he wants to. Some of those times, I watch his throws and they just look incredible. But other times he doesn't have any confidence out there. I mean, I don't know what he'll become. He needs to shorten up his throwing motion a little bit. It can take a little bit too long, but it's not bad. It's just not where you want it to be.
Right.
He has all this talent to be this great quarterback, and he just never shown it. He should have came out, went to a new college, gave it one more shot, but I mean, he's really shown signs of a great quarterback. And yes, I know that he's not the perfect pick, but I think he's worth a shot in the dark. I mean, he came off so hot straight from high school. Even he has the record for as well in the Army Bowl game for all Americans for passing.
That Senior Bowl game, yeah.
Yeah, when the high school kids out, he has the passing yard record, 181 yards, and that's where he's sharing a ton of time. He really can be something, but the fact that he's just never got this job and always finds a way to fuck things up for himself, it worries me. But
right. I mean, you also just said that he is either he's a starter or he's just fucking nothing. How do you think an NFL team would handle that? His propensity and capabilities, because it's like, if they can identify that, they might just be like, well, why the fuck would we take him if he's not going to be a good backup? Or where do you think he fits in, and how do you think he would break out to be a starter?
I think, first of all, draft wise, I think best case scenario is a 7th round pick.
Yeah.
teams aren't trying to waste draft picks. They're not going to just pick him in the sixth round to, because he has potential, and he's never shown it really. He's shown it, yes, but not consistently. They might take him a 7th round pick. I think a lot of teams are going to he's going to be one of the first calls as an undrafted free agent.
Just because of
who he is. Some quarterbacks going to be like, I can make it work for this guy. I can fix this guy. That's how everybody thinks they can fix everybody. But we'll see.
He's probably a QB coach's dream, though. You got to think.
Yeah, for sure. But confidence is big. But where I see him fitting in, that's tough. He needs to be in a situation where he has zero intention on him starting. This is the situation where you always just say Bruce Arians, but he's gone now.
Gone with the wind, man.
I've talked about it, right? Chiefs could be something. Eagles could be something that Andy Reid, West Coast player. I could easily see him fitting that role.
Yeah.
Let
the guy develop.
Yeah. Maybe go to New England.
That'd be pretty cool. And then, where he's going to have to shine is where he just knows he's not the starter, and he'll just have to not fuck up in preseason.
Yeah, he's literally the opposite of Logan Woodside, who I just talked about before. Yeah. Logan Woodside had to earn everything he was got. Not that this guy didn't, but Logan Woodside was never the recognizable guy. I heard stuff about him. Just his neighbors could hear him throwing the football against the side of the house all day. He just did everything he could to get in place. He talks about how he has this Tom Brady mentality where he's just he wants to be the best kind of thing, and he's just the underdog, and no matter how many times he's lost his job, which is a lot, he's had to lose his job and get it back even though he's played well. Just all these bullshit things. He always comes back and is just positive as he can about it and gets it. This guy, one thing goes wrong, he doesn't know how to handle it. He has all the talent in the world.
He implodes.
Yeah, he has all the talent in the world, but mentally he's weak. And I like a lot of things I've seen with Allen, but
it's got a good highlight reel when you watch it. It looks. I think my favorite thing about Allen is that he is a pro style quarterback. He's been a pro style quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
So from when he started, that was a big thing for me.
He went to Houston, which is not pro style. He can be. He has all the talent to be, but
he very much can mold into it. I think he's a pro style at heart, though.
Yeah, I agree.
Watching his high school highlights and everything, and he was recruited as a pro style, but he's a freak now.
So I don't know. I like him a lot as a talent, but just like I said, I do not see him being a backup. Maybe eventually, for the start, there's no way stepping in and being a starter, but he's not a long-time NFL backup. He is either going to figure it out or never play football. It's not going to be any other way in my mind.
Saying he gets signed to a team too, he has a limited window. I would say his clock is ticking if he even gets signed to a practice squad. Because then it's because you have that that fucking you're in that shithole cycle. Because even if a backup in the NFL gets hurt, if a starter in the NFL gets hurt, they don't usually bring up the practice squad guy. They'll usually go to sign another guy for 1 year. Mm-hmm. So you have to make it as a backup now and prove in preseason that you deserve to be there. So when you get those calls, man, you have to choose wisely.
Yeah,
he's going to have to choose because he's going to get calls, but he's going to have to choose wisely. I would say Drew Brees.
Ooh,
the Saints.
I like that. Sean Payton's a great offensive.
He brings up the best in everyone, man.
I like that fit. I do. I like that a lot. But yeah, I think that we went into this a little bit. There's way more coming up. We got the NFL Combine, but
yeah, and also just shout out to the haters. No one hate on our fucking picks. The Combine hasn't happened yet. This is all just when we're gathering right now. So if Logan Woodside jumps in the second round, don't hate Monty forever.
Mm-hmm.
He was wrong about one thing. I'm just kidding.
I called him. I had him coming, so I would be happy about that. But anyway, this was Draft Punks.
It was very good.